Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Learn with Virali. I'm Virali, your guide on this PMP adventure. If you are new to my channel, I'm Virali, a certified PMP professional helping people to pass their PMP exams on the very first try. So if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, make sure to subscribe as it helps me to create more such kind of videos and offer help to the community. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the question that I see being asked the most, that is there an easy way or a trick that I can use to solve the math questions that is being asked in the actual PMP exam, that too without using a calculator? Yes, that is what exactly I'm going to be addressing today in this video. So I would recommend you to watch this video till the very end, as I'll be discussing all the topics that PMI loves to test in regards to applying those mathematical formulas, and I'll also be sharing a downloadable cheat sheet which you can use it in order for getting ready for your actual PMP exam. So let's get started. So before we dive in, let me tell you, PMI isn't testing your calculator skills. They actually want to know if you understand the concept and if you are able to apply all those processes that PMI is giving you to apply being a project manager later on once you pass this exam. So in this video, I'm going to talk about firstly the common math formulas that you should remember and the formulas that PMI loves to test on. Next, I'll be talking about those mental math shortcuts, which will be the tricks that we'll be using in to practice on different practice questions. And then at the end, I'll be sharing the downloadable cheat sheet for you to remember all these mental math tricks and apply to your upcoming PMP exam. First, let me share the most tested formulas that come up onto the PMP exam questions, which are these five most tested formulas. If you notice these formulas, you would see that these are either simple division or multiplication. There is no complex math involved in any of these formulas that you should be using a calculator on. Please don't worry about doing those kind of divisions. There are certain tricks that I'll be talking about as we approach each of these formulas. Let us first get started applying or understanding the scheduled performance index, which is also called as SPI. The formula for SPI is EV by PV, which is nothing but earned value divided by planned value. Second is cost performance index, which is CPI, which is EV by AC, again earned value by actual cost. The third is the critical path, or also called as the longest path in order to complete all the tasks for a particular project. Fourth formula is to count the number of communication channels, and the formula is n times n minus 1 divided by 2. And the last one that we have on this list is expected monetary value, or EMV, which can be calculated as probability times impact. So you are supposed to remember these five formulas for solving any math question that shows up onto your PMP exam. And these are the questions that PMI loves to test on. So they'll be giving you different set of information, which sometimes might be an extra information, but you have to filter out what is actually needed in order to do these kind of calculations. Let us come to earned value management in the first place, talking about EV, PV, and AC. So let's start with PV, which is planned value, which actually makes sure that you understand that this was something that was planned for you to use, as in you have to understand that this is the value that is being planned when the project gets started. So that is nothing but the plan. But what you do is, like, what you have completed is nothing but your earned value, or EV. So that is nothing but what you have completed in value. And the third one, which is AC, which is also called as actual cost. So that is nothing but what you have actually spent in regards to something that was being planned before. So these are the differences that you have to keep in mind, and do not get confused with the terminology that is given into the question. So let us look an example question for solving this earned value management kind of a question. So the question is, the client needs to build a website given the total budget is $100,000. The timeline in order for finishing that up is around 10 months, and currently they are on month number 5. The amount that has been spent so far is $60,000 and they have completed the work worth of $45,000. So, how should we first understand the information that is given to us? Firstly, make sure that you understand that spent so far is also called as AC in our mathematical language or in our formula language. Next, completed work worth is nothing but EV, which is earned value. So now, based on this, I have been asked to find out how is the project performing budget wise. So in that case, I am supposed to find out the cost performance index, and I have to understand that if the value is greater than 1, the project is going very good. That means the project is under budget and it still has some more time to spend or some more cost that I can allocate it later on in case if it's needed. So that is going very good if it is greater than 1. The formula for CPI that we saw was EV by AC or EV divided by AC. If you understand the budget distribution that is given to you in the question, you see that the total budget is $100,000 being divided among 10 months. So each month, basically, the planned value is $10,000 to be spent in every month, and that much amount of work has to be done in order to make sure that the entire website is being built within the 10 months of time. Currently, if they are on month 5, that means you have to make sure that you might be somewhere around $50,000 because that is simply going to be half of 10 months. So you should be somewhere around $50,000 whenever you are at month number 5. Right now, if you look about spent so far, which is the actual cost that has been incurred so far, which is $60,000, and the completed work worth is just $45,000, making sure that my value of AC is greater than the numerator. So my numerator right now is $45,000. So I'll just write 45 and the actual cost that has been incurred so far is $60,000 in our case. So if I see the scenario like this, that means wherein the denominator is bigger than the numerator, this is simply gonna be less than 1 based on the CPI that I'm trying to point about. That means the project is going over budget or people are spending more money in comparison to what it was planned before. So that's where the project is poorly performing and needs an attention from the cost or budgeting perspective. So that's where this is a mental math trick. You don't need a calculator to understand or solve this to find out the exact value, since you are just supposed to say if it is under budget or if it is over budget. In this case, it is over budget because the value here is less than 1. Here comes the mental math trick number 1. If the denominator is bigger, which is what I just said in the previous example, that means the performance is going to be less than 1, which is considered as a bad performance from a budget perspective, since we were trying to point out the CPI, which is cost performance index. And if the denominator is smaller, which is the opposite of the first case, then it is going to be really good in regards to the performance, wherein the performance is definitely going to be greater than 1. So in this case, no calculator is needed. You just have to watch what is the denominator and what is the numerator to find out whether the performance is good or bad. Okay, so now let's have a look onto the communication channel and how shall we apply this formula that we had discussed at the very beginning. Communication channels, if you are supposed to find out the value in regards to how many communication channels are needed, if there are n number of people in your project or n number of stakeholders in your project, what you should do typically is to have the formula n times n minus 1 divided by 2. So here some value has been given to us, which is 5 stakeholders. So the value of n over here is equal to 5. So now I just have to remember, like, I have to multiply this 5 with the lowest number that comes before 5, which is nothing but 4. And then I have to divide this result by 2, which is nothing but 10 channels that I'll be needing in for dealing with this 5 stakeholders. So that is pretty much easier in order to solve this question very fast. Like if you see this number of stakeholders or number of people on your project, you just have to take that value, multiply it with the next lowest number that comes before that value, and then divide the entire result by 2. Here comes the mental math trick number 2 that we just discussed for communication channel. First step is to take the number of people given in the question identified as n. And then the second step is to multiply it with the next lower number that comes immediately before that particular number. And step number 3 is to divide the entire result by 2. Let's look at the third type, which is expected monetary value calculations, which is nothing but probability times impact. Let's see a question over here. What will be the EMV for a project with the following information, that is risk impact is given as $10,000. Probability of that risk is 20%. So what is my expected monetary value? So I'm just going to like do the times as per the formula. 10,000 times 20%, which is 0.2 in this case, right? Because it is a percentage, so we have to divide this 20 by 100. So we end up getting 0.2, which we should time it with 10,000. Typically gives us $2,000 in over here based on the given values for this particular question. You can also solve it like, since it is 20%, which is 20 divided by 100, so I can just go write 10,000 over here and make it time it with 1 over 5 or 1 divided by 5, because 20 divided by 100 is nothing but 1 by 5. So if I just finish up with this small calculation, I end up getting the actual EMV value, which is $2,000 for this particular project. Let's look at the first practice question. The project has an EV or earned value of $80,000 and the actual cost that incurred to reach over here is $100,000. So what is the CPI? Please pause this video and try to solve it on your own using the mental math trick that we learned before, and come back to this video again to check if you're solved it right or not. Alright, so let's see how to solve this question pretty much fast based on our mental math. So since we are asked CPI, the formula is EV divided by AC. That means if AC is bigger, it simply means that the value is less than 1. That means the project is performing very bad as per our mental math formula. The same case goes over here, $80,000 divided by $100,000, which is nothing but 0.8 approximately, and that's where it is going to be less than 1 based on our mental math formula. That means the project is performing very poor or it is not up to the mark. Let's look at the practice question number 2. The question is, a project manager reports the following. The value of EV is $250,000, value of AC is $200,000, risk impact given over here is $50,000, probability of that risk is 40%, the team size given over here is 8 people, and then we are supposed to calculate CPI, EMV, and the number of communication channels. Let's go over it one by one. Now for CPI, we know we have to divide EV by AC. Since you notice over here EV value is bigger than AC, the CPI value is gonna be greater than 1, which means the project is performing very good and it is under budget as per the PMI terms. Now, calculating the value of EMV, we are supposed to kind of just multiply these two values, which is nothing but 50,000 times 0.4, or we can also do it like 50,000 times 40 divided by 100. That is also something that we can use to solve these particular question. Now I will get rid of these two zeros with these two zeros over here. 5 times 4 is 20, and then I'll add 3 more zeros to it, which is nothing but 20, and then 3 more zeros. So 1, 2, and 3. That means $20,000 would be my EMV, or expected monetary value. Coming to communication channel, we have 8 people. So as per our mental math, we are supposed to take this 8, time it with the next lower number, immediate next, which is 7, and then divide the entire result by 2. So 8 times 7 is 56. And if I divide this 56 by 2, I would get somewhere about 28 communication channels that I would be needing in for this particular scenario given to us. Now let's talk about the key takeaways that we have to remember for these kind of mathematical questions. Number one, you have to just observe what is the denominator value and the numerator value. If the denominator value is greater than the numerator, you just have to understand that it is going to be a poor performance, whether it is in regards to schedule or cost, being identified as over budget and over schedule or over time. Now, if it is going to be greater than 1, that means the numerator will be bigger than the denominator, and that's where you will say it's under budget or under schedule or under time. Next, if we come to those percentage tricks, which is to identify what is the EMV values given the probability and the risk impact, that's where you can solve it using the mental math trick that we discussed, which is to multiply it by 100, like just to remove the percentage sign, or if you are comfortable just to shift the decimal points and find out the answer, that'll be much easier too. And the last one was to find out the number of communication channels, which is to apply the formula in a 3-step approach, which is to first take the number given in the question, time it with the next lower number, and then divide the entire result by 2. So please remember these things that I'll be talking over here: to think logically before calculating, use estimations to properly verify if you have done it right, and next, make sure you apply this mental math tricks while you are practicing questions, getting ready for your PMP exam, making sure that you focus over concepts rather than calculations. Okay, coming to the last part. Please download the mental math cheat sheet from the description below. It has everything that we discussed throughout this video. So make sure you download it from the description. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like this video, as it will help me reach more people and help them in their PMP prep journey. If you are looking to practice more questions or need one-on-one help, please email me at learnwithvirali@gmail.com. I'll see you in the next video.